Well, we've been telling you a lot and talking more about the Lawrence North High School student seen here that passed away during football conditioning, suffering cardiac arrest, only 15 years old. Armand Rowley, a freshman at the school, died Monday. At this moment, it's still unclear of if Armand had an underlying health condition or what exactly happened, but we want to ask, how could someone so young suffer cardiac arrest like this? We hear it, it's rare, but we want to talk about him and honor him as well. Joining me to answer some of these questions is cardiac specialist at Peyton Manning Children's Hospital, Dr. Leonard Steinberg. Dr. Steinberg, thank you so much. I know you really are an expert in this, and especially when it comes to young children and their hearts. What do you want parents to know, first of all, when they're watching, when they hear about this? It's really frightening.
It is frightening, and this is a tragic situation for the family, for the team, for friends, and for the community. And the first thing I want parents to understand is that even though this gets a lot of press, as it should, these are really, really rare events. The exact incidence isn't really known, but thought to be somewhere between 1 in 40,000 and 1 in 80,000 athletes per year. So a very uncommon event.
Can you tell us what it is? I mean, we typically think that we hear that, we find out later that someone has an underlying health condition. That's not always the case, but what typically what could have happened?
Well, there are a variety of causes that can lead to this, and some of them are acquired, as you alluded to, but many of them are inherited conditions. And they do have a few things in common, even though there's a large number of them. One of the things they have in common is that they often go undetected on a routine physical examination, so that they may not be detected by the pediatrician or anybody else doing an examination. The second thing is they're often inherited, as I said. They often cause sudden cardiac death as the first symptom, so there can be no warning signs. And all of them ultimately lead most of them ultimately lead to a life-threatening arrhythmia, which can be treated with an automated external defibrillator, an AED, which is nowadays often present at sports facilities.
Yeah, and we're going to be talking to a mom at 8:45 who this happened to her son, and she's really working to get these in every facility. I know you know her and you've worked with her. I want to go back to a point here as I'm thinking about what parents are thinking. This seems to always happen. The cases that we do, again, very rare here in Indiana. I know of 4 or 5 cases in the last decade. It seems like it's when the child is doing this extreme physical activity that then makes the heart do this. What is it about that activity, and are there signs of when somebody starts to feel something that they know that this is what's happening, and it's not that they're being, lazy or not working hard enough?
Right. There are a few warning signs that people can look out for in terms of saying, I need further evaluation before I continue playing, or my child needs further evaluation before playing. One of them is to look for family history. If there is a close relative who died suddenly at a young age, that right there is an important clue that maybe other family members need to be screened. And then there are some symptoms that, while often benign, should prompt further evaluation. If somebody has a fainting spell, which often can look like a seizure rather than a fainting spell. But fainting spells, particularly if they occur during exercise, are worrisome. Somebody who feels their heart fluttering or racing inappropriately during exercise. People who have progressive exercise intolerance, just can't do what they used to do. And of course, chest pain. All of those should be warning signs that somebody should get checked out further. Obviously, those aren't enough, which is why I really advocate for getting these AEDs on the playing field. So that's the other thing parents can do, is advocate for these AEDs if they're not at the sports facility their kids are participating at already.
Doctor, we're out of time, but I'm going to be talking to this mom. That's one of her missions, is to really learn about these defibrillators and how they can really kind of shock that heart back into the proper rhythm. We really appreciate you and what you do to save lives and get out the information. Thank you.